Hello and welcome back to day 3 of our trading series. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a futures trade actually. So I was working with a Apex account. You guys can see my little markup here from 4/3. So this was April 3rd when I took this trade and placed it and documented it all here on the trading floor testimonial section. I was working with an Apex Futures Challenge account. It is a 100K account. I was using the 1 minute and the 5 minute time frame. So you're going to see this screenshot here of the 5 minute time frame. I was using this just because I was showing consolidation zones. That's what these horizontal lines are that you're seeing. It's actually an indicator. I will pop it up here on the screen for you. It's called Consolidation Live. It's okay. I used to really like it a lot, and I feel like lately it's like just not quite what I want it to be. But anyhow, if you're interested in it, it is a free indicator. You can pop it on. I do like it on the smaller time frames. Sometimes I'll pop it on my charts just to see if I feel like I'm maybe missing something, especially when I'm toggling between really small time frames, like a 1 minute and a 5 minute, which I was on this day. And if I feel like the market in my head is just like kind of more going horizontal and I'm just kind of looking for like smaller defined zones, I can usually mark these all myself for the most part, but sometimes it's nice to kind of have them put it on there too to see if I'm falling in the same area that like the indicator is also identifying, and that is what I was doing here. Just a little like note here or tip, please identify your own zones. Even if you decide to use an indicator that helps you find zones, you should always be able to do it yourself. And like test your knowledge, like see if you're like marking up is pretty close to what they're getting. That will help to build your confidence, but make sure you can always do it on your own. So that way, you know when the indicator is marking like a smart zone or a good zone versus just kind of like marking something that maybe isn't all that useful. Like for instance, this little zone that it's marked, like this is kind of useless. I wouldn't really count this as like a huge zone. Like I think that this is actually part of a bigger zone in my opinion. And like that would be more like my zone. This feels like you could get in trouble. Like if you were taking every trade or breakout that happens from something small like this, likely you're just going to get stuck in consolidation and get lots of like whiplash with your trades. So try to be careful with that. Make sure that you're really using your own common sense when it comes to marking up the zones. So in this trade, I was using the 5 minute levels, using the consolidation zone levels, which is what you're seeing again, these like blue shaded boxes with the little horizontal dotted lines. And I then was dropping to the 1 minute time frame. I do apologize. I guess I didn't submit the 1 minute like screenshot of what it looked like. So we are missing that here, but it did break through. So on the 5 minute time frame, what you'll see is that I had marked where my entry was, but on the 1 minute time frame, it had actually already broken. The level was like more in this area that had broken. So this bearish candle and bearish smiley face was a breakout on the 1 minute time frame for me. On the 5 minute time frame, it didn't quite happen until a little bit later on, like in this area. But nonetheless, it was still a breakout either way, whether you had waited a little bit for the 5 minute or if you had gotten in a little earlier like I did on the 1 minute. But that was my signaling candle. It's just, unfortunately, it's not on the 1 minute chart where you can like see the clear breakout. But just know that on the 1 minute, it did break this level that was on the 1 minute. As far as my marking up goes, this is pretty straightforward. I did target the top of my level. I typically do this when I am trading an initial breakout. So if I have an initial break of a zone or an area that I've marked, I will cover the entire area with my stop loss, and then I will target to see if my take profit makes sense, like risk to reward wise. If it does, then the trade's valid for me. If it doesn't, and the trade seems to be less than like a 1R, ideally I like to see like a 1.5 usually, but like if it's less than a 1R, like I wouldn't take the trade. So just so you guys understand, like if this stop was like greater than a 1R, or like I said, ideally a 1.5 or more, for where like the ideal take profit would be, and I usually use zones to the left to be able to identify like where a zone to the left would be. If it's less than a 1R, like I just want to take the trade. To me, it's just not worth it. And like I said, I really like to see like a 1.5 or more. And in this case, I had that. So this was a 1.5 markup. I did stick with 1.5 versus like trying to target the very bottom of the zone that was there. And like you can see actually on the 5-minute, it did mark this little like green horizontal area. And that would have been the bottom consolidation live zones indicator like area that it was marking. So this would have been its new zone. This like red would have been the top and the green would have been in the bottom. And I was saying in my markup, I'm saying, hey, we're breaking into this new zone. And then, probability wise, it would make sense to target the bottom of it. I didn't go all the way to the bottom. Like I said, I'd kind of targeted closer to a 1.5-ish, a little over kind of reward, only because I always am that way. I'm always a little more cautious. I don't always go to the very bit like bottom of it. Here you got this nice wick and you would have been fine, but you never really know. So I always try to be like a little more cautious. And if I can get my 1.5 and still be cautious, I'll usually like target the 1.5, maybe slightly over. And I look for like an area to the left that I really like. In this case, like I said, I got a little more. You can see here what I got on this trade. I got like a 1.6, almost a 1.7. And yeah, that was this trade. That was the only trade I did take for this day. It is a challenge account that I was working with. So I was looking to pass it, but like I wasn't in any rush because I was just trying to get the like in profit. I like to be in profit with a little bit of cushion before I start getting a little too like crazy with the trades, before I start stacking or before I start like taking too many trades. I really like to kind of make sure that I have like a little bit of a cushion with my capital. Okay, anyhow, that was this trade. And again, this is a pretty clean like breakout trade. Wasn't really too much going on here. I did use multiple time frames, so I did use the 5-minute as my zone and then the 1 minute for my like sniper entry. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, targeted a 5-minute level. So I was using the 5-minute as my like bias, used 1 minute for my entry. And that is that. That is this trade here for April 3rd. If you guys have questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. If not, I will see you guys back to look at April 4th's trade.